Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. So, did you know that when you design things for accessibility, it almost always ends up improving the experience for literally every single user, not just those with disabilities? Today, we're on a mission to completely demystify disability laws in higher education. Now, I know that navigating the ADA, Section 504, and all those campus accessibility policies can kind of feel like you're wading through alphabet soup, but our goal today is to translate all those vital compliance mandates into a really practical, straightforward roadmap for you, your classroom, and your entire campus.
So let's just tackle the elephant in the room right away. When you hear the word accessibility, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For a really long time, people have viewed these rules as just a way to avoid lawsuits, just checking off administrative boxes. But I want to challenge you to look at the bigger picture here. If we only look at accessibility as a legal chore, we completely miss the profound, real-world impact it has on the actual classroom experience and on our students' success.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the purpose of accessibility. Then we'll cover the ADA in Section 504, move on to defining qualified individuals, and finally wrap up with delivering accessible education.
Starting right off with Section 1, the purpose of accessibility and why it fundamentally matters.
Portland State University hits the nail on the head with their teaching guidelines. They state, accessibility is more than a legal requirement, it's a shared commitment to equity, inclusion, and student success. I absolutely love this framing. It turns accessibility into a proactive tool. When we build our courses with accessibility baked in from day one, we're actively helping all of our students engage deeply, stick with the material, and ultimately crush it academically.
And this brilliantly illustrates a core concept taught by ATICSA. They emphasize that the ADA and Section 504 are fundamentally designed to provide equal opportunities, not to guarantee equal results. It's the institution's job to give students with a qualifying disability the specific aids or services they need, so they have an equal shot at achieving the same results as their peers. It's literally about leveling the playing field, not rigging the final score.
Moving right along to Section 2, the AD and Section 504. Let's look at the actual legal framework.
So, who exactly is protected? Well, figuring that out starts with a legal definition of an impairment. According to ATICSA's legal foundations, an impairment is a physical or mental condition that substantially limits one or more major life activities. And here's an absolutely crucial detail. The law also covers people who have a record of having an impairment, or even those who are just regarded as having one.
To make this legal jargon feel a bit more real, let's look at some examples. On the mental and cognitive side, we're talking about conditions like depression, anxiety, specific learning differences, and various forms of neurodivergence. Now, these conditions might be totally invisible to you, but they profoundly impact how a student experiences your learning environment. Then, on the physical side, you have more concrete limitations involving vision, hearing, or mobility. Now, because the law obviously doesn't list every single possible human impairment, your campus disability services staff actually reviews documentation on a case-by-case basis. Now, what's really interesting about this is a critical distinction that gets missed all the time. Just having an impairment does not automatically mean someone has a legally recognized disability. Like the ATIX Ed training clearly points out, not every impairment results in a substantial limitation on a major life activity. For those full ADA and 504 protections to kick in, it absolutely has to meet that specific standard of substantial limitation.
All right, on to Section 3, defining qualified individuals and who exactly is protected.
Under the law, a qualified individual is someone who meets the required academic and technical standards for the program, either with or without reasonable modifications. This is huge because it's the bridge between providing legal protection and maintaining academic integrity. The law is definitely not telling you to lower your academic standards. It's just telling you to provide the modifications that give a qualified student the fair chance to meet the standards you already have. Basically, the destination stays exactly the same. We are just offering a different route to get there. Let's move to and see how this builds into our fourth and final section, delivering accessible education in practice.
We absolutely have to talk about the digital landscape for a minute here. There are strict, recent updates to Title II of the ADA from the Department of Justice. They now require all federally funded higher ed institutions to make their instructional materials accessible. So, what does that mean for you? It means anything behind a student login, your Canvas modules, PDFs, slide decks, video and audio files, they all need to meet WCAG 2.1 AA standards. That's the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines.
Basically, it's the global rulebook for making sure your content has good color contrast, works with screen readers, and is easy for anyone to navigate.
Now, if all of that sounds super overwhelming, Portland State University breaks this whole complex process down into 3 really manageable pillars of access. First is digital access, which is making sure platforms and materials work for everyone. Second is physical access, so looking at room layouts and equipment. And third is cognitive access, which is all about organizing and presenting your information in different ways for students who just process things differently. Breaking it down into these 3 buckets makes the whole design process way more attainable.
And let's reiterate the big why here. Sure, these inclusive practices are legally mandated, but the reality on the ground? Accessible course design practically benefits your entire wonderfully diverse student body. Clean digital files, transcripts on your videos, clearly organized information. These things are a massive help to multilingual learners, first-generation students, and folks juggling heavy caregiving or work schedules. Good accessible design is honestly just good teaching.
So the crucial point is this. When a student hands you an approved accommodation letter from your campus disability resource center, you have to remember these aren't just polite suggestions. They are mandatory, confidential civil rights protections under the ADA. As faculty, implementing them is how we honor that student's fundamental right to an equitable education.
I want to leave you with one final provocative question inspired by today's material. Take a hard look at your syllabus, your slide decks, your classroom setup, and ask yourself, are you removing barriers before they even arise? When we take a proactive stance on accessibility, we go way beyond just checking a legal compliance box. We actually build a learning environment where every single student truly has the opportunity to succeed. Thanks so much for joining us to learn today, and we'll catch you on the next Explainer.